Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're going to be tackling something that's, I think, on everyone's mind these days, and that's AI.
Yeah, definitely a hot topic.
Absolutely. But we're going to try to make it as relevant as possible. So whether you're, actively job hunting or considering a career change or just curious about the future, we're going to be looking at AI in 2024, 2025.
Right now.
Specifically how it's impacting the job market right now. That's a good point, right?
Yeah.
This is happening. And our sources for this deep dive are two newsletters by AI expert Professor Joseph X. Zhang.
Oh, yeah, Professor Ang, he's someone to pay attention to in this field for sure.
Absolutely. So much insight in these newsletters and even some predictions. So we're going to dive into all of that. And just to kind of give you a taste of what's coming up, we've got some stats on AI's role in hiring.
Oh, yeah.
Some expert opinions, and we'll even take a look at how you can adapt and thrive in this job market that is, becoming more and more AI-driven every day.
Yeah, you got to stay ahead of the curve, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And plus, we'll discuss a new initiative that's aimed at making sure that everyone benefits from AI's rise, not just a select few. So lots to cover.
Should be good.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Professor Ang calls 2024 transformative for AI.
Yeah.
He points to things like generative AI and AI ModelOps as major breakthroughs. Can you unpack those for us a bit? Not just, what they are, but why they matter to, well, everyone.
Yeah, sure. So generative AI, it's really fascinating because it basically has the potential to personalize like almost everything.
Wow.
Yeah, think about, medical treatments tailored to your specific DNA because of generative AI's ability to analyze just huge amounts of genetic data, or imagine, educational software that can adapt to each student's learning style, like in real time.
That's a huge shift from, the one-size-fits-all approach that we see a lot.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like custom tailored everything.
It sounds very futuristic, but, Professor Ang is saying this is starting to happen now.
It is. It's starting to happen now, and then you've got ModelOps, which is all about, with all this power, it's got to be deployed responsibly, so you got to build guardrails.
Right.
So think of it kind of like, building those guardrails for AI development, making sure that these systems are reliable, they're fair, they're working the way they're supposed to.
Okay, yeah, so it's not just letting AI run wild. It's, like you said, putting some boundaries around it, some guidelines.
Exactly.
Professor Lang also mentions neuromorphic chips and quantum computing, both of which sound pretty futuristic to me.
Yeah.
Where do those fit into this whole picture?
Well, they're both about like boosting AI's processing power.
Okay.
Neuromorphic chips. They're actually designed to kind of mimic how our brains work,
Oh, wow.
which makes AI processing way more efficient.
Okay.
And then quantum computing, that's like next level,
Yeah.
tapping into quantum mechanics to solve problems that would take regular computers, years or even centuries.
So is this like the arms race that we see with like smartphone processors, but for AI dominance instead?
Yeah, it's a good analogy. You've got companies like AWS with their Trainium 2 chip,
Right.
Tenstorrent, and then, of course, NVIDIA. They're all kind of like
Competing.
vying for that top spot in this new landscape. And the thing is, like, the faster we can process information, the faster AI develops.
Yeah, right.
And that affects every industry, not just tech.
Right, so everyone should be paying attention to this, not just the techies.
Exactly. It's going to touch everything eventually.
So let's talk about those effects then. Professor Ang, in his January 2025 newsletter, he dives right into the job market impact. And one stat just jumped out at me. 99% of Fortune 500 companies are already using AI to screen resumes.
It's becoming the norm, yeah.
And not just that, up to 75% of applications are rejected before a human even sees them.
That's a lot.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, it's a completely different ballgame, for job seekers. Now your resume is not being read just by a person. It's being, analyzed by an algorithm.
Yeah, it's almost like AI is this new gatekeeper,
It is, in a way.
And then we have NVIDIA's CEO predicting that IT departments are becoming HR for AI agents. What does that even mean?
Oh, yeah.
What are these AI agents he's talking about?
So think of AI agents as like digital employees. They can do things like analyze data, interact with customers, even make decisions. So, in the future IT departments, they might be responsible for managing and training these AI agents, almost like they would, human employees.
So essentially we're talking about AI potentially taking over some jobs, right?
Right.
Professor Ang, he mentioned some, pretty significant numbers in terms of job displacement.
There are studies that suggest up to like 25% of jobs could be automated by 2030.
It's a big number.
It's a lot.
25%.
Yeah, it's a valid concern.
It makes you wonder, what kind of jobs will still be around in a few years.
Well, it's not just about jobs disappearing, though. It's also about new jobs being created in fields like green energy, the metaverse,
Okay.
quantum computing things that are like, rapidly evolving, and they need people with the right skills.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Right, exactly.
There's opportunity here, too.
Opportunity abounds, yeah.
But those new fields you mentioned seem pretty high-tech,
Yeah.
What about the rest of us?
Well, that's where this concept of like hybrid skills comes in,
Oh, okay.
You need a blend of technical skills and what we call like uniquely human abilities. And so, for example, data literacy is crucial these days.
So we all need to become like data experts now.
Well, not necessarily experts, but you need to be comfortable with data. It's like the new literacy for the digital age,
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned uniquely human abilities.
Yeah.
What are those and how do they fit in an AI-driven world?
So those are the skills that AI can't replicate. Things like critical thinking, emotional intelligence, creativity. These are the things that will really set us apart in the workplace of the future.
So those soft skills
are huge.
Are still really important. It's not just about the tech.
It's the combination.
It's the human element.
Yeah, the human element. That's what makes this unique.
Professor Eng's newsletters, they definitely paint a picture of a world in flux. Where technology and humanity are becoming increasingly intertwined.
Absolutely.
He talks about the importance of continuous learning in this AI-powered world. It sounds like we all need to become like lifelong students.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The skills that are in demand today might be obsolete tomorrow.
Wow.
So we need to be constantly upskilling, learning new tools, adapting to new ways of working.
So where should people even begin?
Yeah.
What are some concrete steps they can take?
Well, Professor Eng mentions that, applicants who use AI-assisted writing tools for their resumes and have active LinkedIn profiles, they actually see a much higher chance of getting hired. So perhaps that's a good starting point for some people.
So it's like working with the technology instead of against it.
Exactly. Yeah, embrace the tools.
Embrace the tools. Professor Eng also talks about his Humanity Project, which he launched in 2025, which aims to use AI to help those who are most at risk in this changing job market. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Humanity is a really fascinating initiative. One of their first projects is this resume optimization platform.
Okay.
And it's designed to help people from all backgrounds really present their skills in a way that appeals to both AI and human recruiters.
So it's about leveling the playing field a bit.
Exactly. Make sure everyone has a fair shot in this new world of AI-driven hiring.
That sounds like a really positive use of AI.
Yeah, Professor N is a big believer in using AI for good.
It's good to hear.
And this is a great example of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's encouraging to hear about initiatives like that, that are actually trying to use AI to help people.
Yeah, definitely.
It sounds like Professor Eng is just getting started. He also talks about this idea of agentic AI in his newsletters.
Agentic AI.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
So agentic AI refers to AI systems that can kind of operate and make decisions autonomously. So like imagine a self-driving car.
Okay.
That not only navigates traffic, but also decides where to go based on like, your preferences and your schedule.
So it's like having a digital personal assistant, but with even more capabilities.
Exactly. Yeah. Agentic AI is poised to like change a lot of industries, things like healthcare, finance, even creative fields. Professor Neng gives this example of AI-powered legal assistants.
Oh, wow.
That can analyze contracts, conduct research, even draft documents.
That sounds like it could really streamline things, but it also makes you wonder about the future of those jobs,
Right.
Will we even need lawyers anymore if AI can do so much of their work?
Well, it's not necessarily about replacing humans entirely. It's more about, changing the nature of work.
Okay.
AI can handle like the repetitive tasks.
Freeing up humans to focus on the more complex and creative aspects of their jobs.
So for lawyers, that might mean spending less time on paperwork and more time on like strategy and client interaction.
Exactly. And the same applies to a lot of other professions. Doctors could spend less time on administrative tasks and more time with patients. Teachers could focus more on individual student needs and less on grading. The key is to adapt and learn to work alongside AI.
Professor Eng talks a lot about this idea of continuous learning and upskilling.
Lifelong learning, yeah.
It seems like that's going to be so crucial in this AI-powered world.
Absolutely. The skills that are in demand today might be completely different tomorrow. So we all need to be constantly learning and evolving.
But where do we even begin? It can feel overwhelming to think about learning entirely new skills, especially if you've been in the same field for a long time.
Yeah, I think the first step is to just identify the skills that are in demand in your field and then seek out opportunities to learn those skills. There are so many resources available now, from online courses to workshops to mentorship programs.
So there's no excuse.
Right, exactly.
Professor Eng specifically mentioned the importance of data literacy. He seems to think that's going to be a fundamental skill for everyone, regardless of their profession.
I agree. Data is everywhere these days, and understanding how to interpret it and analyze it is going to be crucial in almost every field.
It sounds like learning to speak data is almost as important as learning a new language.
It kind of is, yeah.
But what about those uniquely human skills that we talked about earlier? Things like critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence. Will those still be relevant in an AI-powered world?
Absolutely. In fact, I think those skills are going to become even more valuable. AI can process information and perform tasks, but it can't replicate human intuition, empathy, and the ability to connect with others on like a deeper level.
So it's about finding that balance between, those technical skills and the human skills, between working with AI and leveraging our own unique strengths.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. The future belongs to those who can bridge that gap, who can combine the power of AI with the ingenuity and creativity of the human mind.
Professor Eng also touches on the importance of ethics in AI development.
Yeah, that's a big one.
He seems to be particularly concerned about the potential for bias in AI systems.
Well, it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
AI systems are only as good as the data they're trained on. So if that data is biased, then the AI system will be biased as well. And this is especially important in areas like hiring, lending, even criminal justice.
So how do we ensure that AI systems are developed and deployed ethically?
It's a complex issue, but I think it starts with awareness.
Okay.
We need to be aware of the potential for bias and take steps to mitigate it. This includes things like using diverse data sets, auditing algorithms for bias, and being transparent about how AI systems are being used.
It sounds like we need to be both vigilant and proactive in shaping the development and use of AI.
Absolutely, yeah.
Professor Eng's humanity project seems to be focused on using AI for good. But are there other initiatives out there that are addressing these ethical concerns?
Yeah, definitely. There are a number of organizations and researchers working on ethical AI. Everything from developing guidelines for responsible AI development to creating tools that can detect and mitigate bias. So it's an area that's getting a lot of attention, which is encouraging.
It sounds like we're at a critical juncture in the development of AI where we have the opportunity to shape its trajectory and ensure that it's used for good.
I think so, too.
Professor Eng's newsletters offer a lot of valuable insights into the potential benefits and risks of AI, but he doesn't really delve into the potential impact on specific industries. Can you give us some examples of how AI is already transforming different sectors?
Sure. Let's start with healthcare. AI is being used to analyze medical images, diagnose diseases, and even develop personalized treatment plans.
Oh, wow.
We're also seeing AI-powered robots assisting surgeons in the operating room.
That's incredible. It sounds like AI has the potential to revolutionize healthcare.
Yeah, it really does.
What about other industries?
Well, in finance, AI is being used to detect fraud, assess risk, and provide personalized financial advice in manufacturing. AI is powering robots that can work alongside humans on the factory floor. And in retail, AI is being used to personalize shopping experiences and optimize supply chains.
It sounds like AI is touching almost every aspect of our lives.
It really is.
But what about the creative fields?
Yeah.
Professor Eng only briefly mentions the potential for AI in areas like art and music. Do you think AI can truly be creative?
It's a fascinating question. We're already seeing AI being used to create art, compose music, even write poetry. Whether or not AI can be truly creative is a matter of debate, but there's no doubt that it can be a powerful tool for artists and creatives.
It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of what AI can do.
I think so.
Professor Eng's newsletters paint a picture of a future where AI is deeply integrated into our lives, but it's also a future that's full of uncertainty.
It is a future that we're creating right now, though the choices that we make today will determine the kind of world that we live in tomorrow.
Professor Eng's work seems to focus primarily on the practical aspects of AI, but he doesn't really delve into the philosophical questions that AI raises, for example. What does it mean to be human in a world where machines can think and learn? Are we just biological machines ourselves?
Those are big questions.
Yeah.
And there are no easy answers.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that AI is a tool. It's a tool that we can use to augment our own abilities and solve complex problems, but it's still just a tool.
So we need to be careful not to let the tool define us.
Exactly. We need to maintain our own sense of agency and purpose even as we work alongside increasingly sophisticated AI systems.
Yeah, it definitely feels like we're on the edge of something really big here.
Yeah.
But you know what? That something is exactly, I don't think anyone knows.
It's exciting, though.
It is. It's exciting.
We're not just like, watching it happen. We're part of it.
Yeah, we're part of it.
Yeah, shaping it.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from generative AI personalizing medical treatments to AI agents becoming, potentially our colleagues.
Our digital buddies, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, we've explored the very real concerns about, jobs going away.
Yeah, displacement.
Job displacement and the need for, those hybrid skills, but also the potential for AI to, create new opportunities and even, help make things a bit more fair.
Level the playing field.
Yeah, level the playing field, exactly. And one thing that stood out to me from Professor Eng's newsletters is, his emphasis on being proactive.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just wait and see what happens. Yeah. We need to be actively preparing for this future.
Absolutely. Understanding this isn't just about, staying ahead of the curve. It's about having the tools and knowledge to thrive no matter what happens.
To thrive. Yeah, that's a good point. So for our listeners out there, what's the one piece of advice, the most important takeaway you want them to remember?
I would say don't be afraid to embrace change.
Yeah.
And be open to continuous learning. The skills you have today might not be the ones you need tomorrow, and that's okay.
That's okay.
It's an opportunity to grow.
Professor Eng seems to believe in AI's potential to be a force for good.
Yeah.
Do you think technology can truly be used to create, a fairer job market?
It's a really good question, and I think it's one worth thinking about. Technology is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
It depends on the user.
It really depends on the humans behind it. Their intentions, their actions.
Yeah, you're right. It's not about the technology itself. It's how we choose to use it.
Exactly.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of AI jobs. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.